Alright guys, so I'm doing a quick video here. If anybody's ever tried to plant a bigger tree that it's got a, call it ball and burlap, also has a metal cage on it. What you're going to have to do is get a pair of bolt cutters to cut the wire cage, tape measure, box cutter, razor blade, shovel, tamper, and a steel like a pry bar. Alright, so I'm going to come around now, show you how to get started. What you want to do first, get the tree as close to the hole as you can here. First, before you do anything. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start cutting the bottom of the cage right here. And the reason for doing this is once we got the tree in the hole, it's going to be almost impossible to get this off once the weight of the tree's on it. Now this tree's a little bit loose, so hopefully it doesn't all fall apart when I do this. Looks like it might have got banged around, either in delivery or at the nursery. Okay, so the bottom of the cage is off. I'm going to take the box cutter, cut the burlap. Try to do it without cutting your finger. Okay guys, so that's it for that. Okay, next thing you want to do is take your tape measure, and you should have the hole about the same depth as whatever the height of the root ball is of the tree that you're going to put in, because you don't want to be fussing with this once you have everything close to the hole here, the tree close to the hole, and you just want to get it in and go in and grab something to eat or have a beer or whatever you do. Alright. Okay, now what I like to do is plant it so the tree's probably a little bit, maybe an inch higher than the grade of the ground. And the reason for that is once you mulch, most people put mulch, you mulch around it. You want to make sure that the mulch doesn't come all the way up on the bark, because it'll start doing damage to the tree over time. So you could plant the tree maybe an inch or so high. Okay, next thing you want to do, get your tree in the hole. Like so. Try to get it as close to the center of the hole as you can. And then, reason for the pry bar, you don't want to be yanking on the trunk too much, because that'll loosen everything up even more. So use one of these. You could kind of maneuver a little bit, like so. Okay, so we're about an inch or so above. Kind of like right where I want it. Go a little bit farther that way. That's it. Okay. Now, what we want to do is cut off the rest of the cage, cut off the rest of the burlap. So you're gonna have to tip the tree a little bit. You know, and I know people say, oh, you know, you gotta dig your hole twice the diameter. twice the diameter of the root ball. And what I gotta say is, it depends on your competence level. Okay, you've done this a while, you get to judge and kind of learn your own tricks. Okay, if you have a bigger hole, it's good in some ways because you can move the tree around a little bit if it's not straight or whatever. And the only problem with that is you're loosening all that soil up. So what happens is then, is once the tree's all planted, you may have to go in and put some bracing or something on the tree in case a wind comes, you know, and then starts blowing all over the place. So it was kind of a pain in the ass, but you just got to keep reaching down and wear gloves, guys. I mean, I'm getting cut and stuff, but you know, all this stuff is sharp. Okay, so now I got the cage cut all the way down to the bottom, and hopefully we can peel it off like so. Okay, so we'll start cutting all the twine. Pull all this off. Like so. And I'm a little out of breath because I had pneumonia. So, sound like I'm out of breath, I'm out of breath. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys plant bigger trees and everybody's kind of got their own way to do it, but I found out taking the cage and the burlap off in the long run is a lot better than leaving it on. Okay? So this is the whole reason for doing this. You know, some guys say, oh, you know, it'll disintegrate, or, you know, whatever their opinion is, but that opinion's wrong as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so if you don't like my opinion, you don't have to watch any more of the video, that's fine. And now we're going to cut the burlap. And then this is where hopefully the roots don't all lose the soil here and fall apart, because then you're going to have trouble. Like I said, this one was already loose, so just going to have to be careful. Try to keep it so it doesn't go falling all apart. Okay, and that stayed pretty good. You know, I'm not advertising for any of these soil amendment companies, but I try to put some good garden soil or something in first. You start backfilling. All the way around. And there's like a ton of roots and rocks here, so the other reason I wasn't going to dig a gigantic hole here. Didn't feel like. Okay, so now you want to make sure your trunk and everything's kind of straight. And as you take my bar, it's got like a little round thing on the end. What you want to do is pack everything down. You don't want air pockets, which isn't good. Just go all the way around, like so. Most of these garden soils and stuff, they have fertilizer. Okay. And kind of look at it from all directions. Make sure you're straight. Okay. And I know some of you guys out there are going to say, well, you can't get it perfectly straight because the earth is round, but you know, just do the best you can. And then the pry bar, if you have to move it, straighten it out, stick your foot in there, and just keep messing around with it until you got it the way you want. Okay. I mean, you don't want your neighbors going by saying, "Man, what, was that guy drunk or something when he planted that?" You know. Okay, so that's pretty straight for my liking. Okay, so now what you'll do is you can start backfilling a little bit more. Now, sometimes you can put a little more bag soil. I like putting the native soil that I dug out of there on top of the good stuff, and then I'll pack it down a little bit more because it's gonna have to grow into the native soil anyway. So, it's like I said, a bag of, one of your popular brands, garden soil. Don't use potting soil. It's a lot of money and you really don't need that. Just use garden soil. Keep going around. Guys, don't bang the bark of the tree. Alright, you start doing damage to the bark, even little cuts. You're going to get disease in there, you're going to get bugs in there. And then a year down the road, you're wondering why all the leaves fell off, and the thing's dead. So that's one of the reasons why we mulch around the tree. So your mowers and your string trimmers don't go beating the crap out of the bark. All right, and then just keep double checking it. Make sure it's pretty straight. Depending on how picky you are. And just keep packing it as you go. I'll use this thing again. Just keep packing. Try to get packed down like way under there. And check the trunk every once in a while. Make sure you're sturdy. Okay. But you don't want to start rocking it. Once you got the cage off and the burlap off, you don't want to start rocking the tree by the trunk. Guys, you're going to mess it up, okay? So just do it the way I said. Okay, all you experts out there that, have your own way of doing it, that's fine. And you can see I'm a little bit high, so that when I put the wood chips in, which I'm not going to do, I'm not going to mulch it now. What I'll do is I'll use this extra soil and make like a ring so water sits in there when I water it. And then once it gets established, a few months or after a year, you can rake out the dirt ring and then do a nice ring of wood chips or something in there, mulch. Going around, pack it down. This is like probably one of my least favorite things to do as far as landscaping is dig holes by hand. And I know it sucks, but like I said, just try to take your time. Don't buy 20 trees at a nursery and think you're going to do it in an afternoon, because you're in for punishment then. It's either not going to get finished or they're going to be all over the place, all cockeyed and everything else, so wouldn't advise doing that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to put the ring around and water it, and that'll be it for this video. I hope it helps some of you guys that wanted to, thought about putting in big trees and weren't really sure how to do it. So that's it. Thanks for watching the video.